Hello people, and welcome back. In this video, we will focus on the multiplayer experience in Worms W.M.D. and shed light on some major differences between the PC version and its console counterparts. And trust me, there are some major things that you should be aware of, especially if you're new to the game or even better, deciding on which platform to buy it. The game is not cross-platform, and most players buy only one version on their preferred platform, which is perfectly normal. But for that very reason, they are not aware of the different multiplayer experience between the PC and console versions of the game. I've been playing Worms W.M.D. on PC via Steam and PlayStation for many years, and in this video we will cover every aspect of the experience, starting with the basics and building upon it. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Worms W.M.D. is the latest installment in the main series of Worms 2D games, even though the game was published 10 years ago. Yeah, it's been a while now. Just like most previous Worms games, this one was published on multiple platforms, providing the same experience for all players. Until you dig a bit deeper, that is. Worms W.M.D. can be bought and played on all major platforms, including PC, PlayStation, Xbox and Nintendo Switch. Even though the game has a single-player experience, many missions and challenges, the core appeal of the game is in its multiplayer capabilities, and this is where things get really interesting. Before we move on, I just want to clarify one thing. The things I'm about to talk about concern the PC versus console experience, and by PC I mean the game bought on, for example, Steam, while whenever I mention consoles it includes PlayStation, Xbox and Switch platforms and consoles. No matter which platform you choose to play on, you will obviously have to buy the game, and that is expected. The prices are almost the same, and there are high discounts several times throughout each year. But that is not what I mean by the subtitle of this video. If you buy the game on PC via Steam, you will launch it and be ready to play both single-player and multiplayer matches. On the other hand, once you buy the game on a console, you will also have to buy a monthly subscription to access the multiplayer part of the game. That's right. You will have to pay regularly to get access to something PC players have for free. And even though it's bad, it's not the worst part yet. But before we come to that, there are some other differences that you should be aware of. Communication with your opponents is something that is normal in any game, and Worms W.M.D. is no exception. In the case of Worms, communication is done either by chat or voice chat, if you are playing on PC, that is. Worms W.M.D. on Steam provides a nice and simple chat which can be opened and closed with a single press of a dedicated button. All you have to do is press and hold a dedicated button on your keyboard and you will be able to speak directly with your opponent. Once you are done, just release the button. It is as simple as that. On the other hand, consoles don't provide chat, which is understandable, and I won't take it as a minus. Playing with a joystick and typing by selecting single letters, one after the other, on a virtual keyboard is not something I would recommend, especially during a match. But the game does have voice chat, which works a bit differently, and it is, in most cases, not a good thing. If you enable voice chat on consoles, the mic will activate automatically without the need to press any button once you start speaking, enabling your opponent to hear you. Once you're done, it will go off. More often than not, this can backfire. There are many scenarios where this might be an issue, and one example is if you're not alone in the room or have small children. Don't get me wrong, for some people it's a great feature, and I'm glad it's there. But for all those whom this might be a problem, a more standard press-to-talk approach would be more appreciated. In my opinion, they should enable both options and let players decide which one they want to use. This can be annoying on many levels, and one of them is if you're a streamer. If that is the case, you will have to decide who can hear you, your viewers or your opponents. But unlike on PC, not both of them. Technically, both can hear you, but this is way too awkward, and sooner rather than later, you will say something for your viewers that your opponent can turn against you in a match. Before we come to the main dish of this video in the next part, I just want to quickly add salt to the injury by mentioning that you can make custom maps and HUDs on PC if you buy the game on Steam. That's right, anyone can do it if you dedicate a bit of time to it. The community did its part, and there are some great things to see and use from people who already made them and shared them for everyone to see. I plan on making tutorials on how to do it in the near future, so if you want to know it, hit that subscribe button. The video will be added to the same playlist called Explanations. Once you hit that multiplayer tab in the main menu, you will be presented with 6 options. They are all available on all platforms, but work a bit differently. We will start with the PC version and then compare it to the console counterparts. The first one is called Local Game. This is where you can set a custom match against up to 6 people who are sitting in the same room and who want to play a custom Worms match. It is pretty standard, doesn't require internet connection, and works the same on both PC and consoles. The second one is called 1 vs 1, where you will face off against a random opponent in a ranked match, and where you can earn or lose points depending on the result of the match itself. Both players will get a random map before the match starts on one of the 10 available teams. The type and size of the map are random, but the scheme is always the same, pro scheme. The points will determine your rank, and wins or losses will affect your stats, which in the end determines your position on the leaderboard list. This is a competitive corner of the game, and anyone who wants to compete will find their challenges here. All you have to do is click on it and wait until the game finds your opponent. And this is where our first issue happens. On PC, you cannot see the name of your opponent, nor you can see their stats before the match begins. If they don't want to play against you, they can quit, but you will still get your points from the match. This is a small thing, but a huge reward for not wasting your time while waiting for the game to find your opponent. Set up and start the match. However, on consoles, you can see the opponent's name and reject the match before it even starts. This can be pretty annoying for people who are only playing competitive matches. I know this is perhaps a small thing, but when it happens multiple times, it feels like you're wasting your time in vain. Trust me, I know. Been there, done that. More than I would like to admit. And if you find it annoying, sit down, because the next one will blow you away. But before you come to it, I just want to quickly wrap up the remaining options by mentioning the third one, called Your Rank, which works the same on all platforms and serves only to see your progress throughout the ranked matches and modify some cosmetic elements of the game. The next 3 options are called Private Game, Game Select, and Quick Game, and we will cover them in that order. I will cover the experience of Private Game on PC and compare it to its console counterpart, because this is the part where things go crazy. By clicking on it, you will be able to set up parameters for a custom match, where you can choose a map and one of the default schemes. You can edit the default schemes to your liking, or you can create your own from scratch. You can choose your team and set the number of worms and the color for your team, and for the others when they join the lobby. Once you're ready, you can start the match, and this is where things get tricky because you will need opponents, and how you get them makes a huge difference depending on which platform you're playing on. While on PC there is a clear make it public option, there is no such thing on consoles. This means once you hit it, any player who is online and searching for matches can find it and join the lobby. Here you can chat and wait for other players. If you have some friends, there is an invite button where you can manually invite people to join you for a game if you have them on your friend list. On the other hand, console players can only invite people who are on their friend list, and there is no chance for other players to join the lobby to play with you. This means that you are doomed to competitive matches only, even if you're not in the mood for them, if a handful of your friends cannot play Worms at the same time as you can. I hope you can see what a big deal this is and what a problem this represents for a game that is basically based on multiplayer experience. The next option in the multiplayer tab is called Find Game, and when PC players click on it, they will be presented with a list of all lobbies which are publicly available, and they can choose whichever they like to play against people who are not on their friend list. Here you have a global chat. You can see who is hosting a match and which scheme they are using. Console players have the option of the same name, but when they click on it, they are presented with parameters to choose so they can join a random lobby. For example, if I choose 4 players and pro scheme and click search, I will have to wait for other players to show up who chose the same parameters as me. If at that moment only one player has chosen the same, both of us will get a timer of around 30 seconds for other people to join. If nobody shows up, we will start a match against each other without the 3rd and 4th player. Once you compare it to the PC experience, you can see how this can suck. Before we end this video and come to a conclusion, let's quickly cover the last option called Quick Game. On PCs, once you click it, it will throw you into a random lobby that you could have selected manually from a list available through the Game Select option. While on PlayStation, selecting the same option sets up a match against a random opponent on a random map with the beginner scheme, which you could have done manually by selecting the Game Select option. Having said all that, it's time to wrap it up, and the very first thing I must say is that this was a hard pill to swallow. Being limited on consoles for so many options was a shocker, and something I had to talk about. As many of you know, I enjoy playing matches against people who are subscribed to the channel, and on Steam it was not a problem, and I have done it so many times. But being limited for the same experience when I tried to connect with all of you who are playing on PlayStation was not something I was expecting, and it came as a really unpleasant surprise, especially when I remembered that I have to pay to even have access to the multiplayer tab in the game. This is also a good time for me to tell you that I have tried all of this on PC via Steam and PlayStation, but from what I've read, Xbox and Nintendo have the same problem. If I'm wrong, I hope somebody will correct me. I would like to hear from you guys as well. What are your thoughts on the subject? Do you find it a big deal as I did, or did I overreact? Write it down in the comment section. Like the video also, because it helps with YouTube algorithm to reach more people who are interested in the game. Don't forget to check the merch store and Discord server on the links in the description. Watch other explanations videos or ranked matches, and I will see you all in the next one. Viper, out.